Hi, and welcome to Mid-South Viewpoint. I'm Byron Tyler. Pleasure to have you here on this edition of our program. Today, we're going to take you to Orange Mound. Orange Mound is a neighborhood bounded by Lamar Avenue to the south, Southern Avenue, Illinois Central Railroad tracks to the north, East Parkway south, and Cooper to the west, and Sim Street to the east. And we're going to have our tour guides today, Reginald and Mary Tucker, and they're with a ministry in Orange Mound called Orange Mound Outreach Ministries. Tucker's good to see you today.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you guys responding and wanting to come and share the work.
Appreciate you having us.
Amen.
Orange Mound stands on the site of the former John Dietrich plantation. Now, between 1825 and 1830, Dietrich, now also whose family donated the land in Nashville on which the Tennessee state capitol was built, purchased 5,000 acres of land and built a stately house there on the property. Is now just east side of Airways between Carnes and Spotswood. And then in 1890, a developer named Elsie Eugene Metcham purchased the land from Dietrich family and began developing a subdivision for African Americans, selling lots for less than $100. And in the 1890s, a typical Orange Mound house was a small, narrow shotgun-style home. And tradition says that the name comes from the mock orange trees or shrubs on the grounds of the old home place. Is that part of the story that you guys have heard before?
Yes, that's a part of the story we have heard.
You grew up in the Orange Mound community, I believe, too. Haven't you, Reginald?
I've been there all my life, 56 years.
56 years. Well, you're quite a young man. Sure, you've got some stories, too, about growing up. And just talk about those years of growing up there and describe what your life was like growing up.
Well, I came sort of from a wealthy family. We had a line of funeral homes. Our ministry is located in one of the funeral homes that we once owned. The building that we came in our family in 1947. My granddaddy bought it. And it just really been exciting. Me and my wife met on the steps 12 years ago, and we never knew that we would own it anything. It was a funeral home at the time. She was at her grandmama's auntie's mother-in-law funeral. And I met her, and we talked, and we knew each other forever. So it's really been something unusual, and just knowing that it's God orchestration putting this together.
Mary, of course, a funeral is not the best occasion to meet someone, but do you remember that time when you met Reginald?
Sure. And one correction, I was with my sister at her mother-in-law's wake, and she called me on my job, and she said, "Well, I'm not going to go to the wake." I said, "But I said, "You have to." I said, "We have to record, we have to go for our family." And it was something in the back of my head saying, "You're going to meet your husband there." Where that came from, I do not know. But I went and I met Reginald there at that wake.
So was it love at first sight, Reginald?
Well, it was like best friends at first sight. And then after that, we just started really loving each other.
That's a very key to any lasting relationship, isn't it?
Yes,
Loving each other.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always easy to love each other. Of course, in the very beginning, there's all the bliss and the excitement of, meeting someone new. That can wear thin, if you go by the emotions. So you got to have something stronger than just feelings, don't you, Mary?
That's right. Yes, you do. You have to become friends first. And that way it will last. But most of all, you have to know that God put you together.
What about your story, Mary? Of course, you talked about how you met Reginald, but did you grow up here in Memphis?
No, I was born in Mason, one of 12 children. We had a loving home. We did not know that we were poor because there was so much love, and we lived on a farm. We moved to Memphis in 1969. My family was a poor family. But like I said, we didn't know much of that because Mom, Daddy, and the kids were together loving each other.
There's another key thing you said. Mom and Dad were together loving each other and loving the kids and just doing what they knew to do to take care of their family.
Yes.
Yes.
And Reginald, in comparison into today's generation, well, we're seeing so many kids. I'm sure many of the kids that are ministered to through your work there at the Orange Mound Outreach, they don't have loving parents at home, loving each other and loving them together.
Well, I think if we got 100 kids, maybe one family out of 100 have a dad in it.
Wait a minute. Did you say 1 out of 100?
Yes.
Oh, my. That's hard, Mary.
It is.
And so what we do, we try to model what true family look like, since it's so broken in that area, that we try to make sure that the children see a mom and a dad doing what mom and dads do. Loving them, teaching them, guiding them, molding them, and correcting them.
Yeah. What were the circumstances that, just prior to starting the Orange Mound outreach, what were the circumstances that led up to you beginning this work? What did you see that you thought, we need to start something here?
It was an accident. The accident was that I was a product of Orange Mound. I lived in Orange Mound the whole 56 years of my life, and I was a product of Orange Mound. And I came from a wealthy family, but I went astray and I lost so much time. And we thought that it was going to be a ministry called Wounded Healers that was for alcoholic and drug addicts in the Orange Mound area. But then we found out the grown people were sort of wishy-washy, and the kids was just there to stay. They came and they stayed. But when I changed my life, I was asking God to give me an opportunity to do anything. And I said, if you give me my life back, I'll do anything that you want. And the crazy part about it, I didn't really care about kids at the time. And when kids came, I was like, what? It was my wife's idea. She took 12 names on the outreach day, and we started our ministry with 12 children.
And Jesus started his ministry with 12 too, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He did. Okay, you mentioned a part of time in your life where you were misguided. I mean, you were being led by your drugs and alcohol. And did you have a bad addiction?
I had a bad addiction. I was a crack addict for almost 10 or 15 years. God just stepped in. I was praying, and that's where she stepped in. And I was in the process of trying to change. And when I was changing, she came in and she was like the angel. I had my personal angel. And we moved out of Orange Mound for 1 year to her house out in North Haven. And after we moved out to her house, and I stayed out there 1 year, and I came back as a preacher, a person that wanted to do God's will, and God had opened my eyes and revealed his vision to me to prevent any other kid from losing so much time in their life. And so that's what we do every day of our life.
So there was a transformation, Mary.
Yes, it was. And when I first met him, it was like God told me to tell him, you have the power. And I constantly would tell him, you have the power. So on that outreach day, there were so many kids there, I just started taking down names. And like he said, there was 12. And he made the statement that we would be back to this corner every Friday. So that, and we went back to the corner every Friday, but we had one little girl, and she told us, she said, you won't be back because grown-ups don't do anything but lie. And that was our point right there. We had to let her know that all grown-ups do not lie.
The corner she's talking about is at Park and Grand. Park and Grand is a store located there and a liquor store located there. And what we would do every Friday, we would spend $100, buy hamburgers and everything we would feed the neighborhood. We would teach, have a Bible study, and play games right in the midst of all of the negative activities. I think our presence was very, very noticeable there, because at the time we would come there, all the negative activity would stop at that time.
Wow. And
we would actually feed the people. They would come be a part of the Bible study and actually come and eat with us.
Mary, can we go back just a second? When Reginald was caught up in this addiction, and you saw hope, you saw there was a power that could transform and change Reginald's life.
Yeah.
So how bad was he, and what did you see in his life at that time?
Well, when I first met him, he told me that he was at a point in his life where he was trying to change. He told me of his addiction and all that. And any other time, I would have ran for the hills, when someone tell me that. But it was like God was saying, I got you. Like he was putting me there for Reginald. And I was there. We were like one person, not two. If he went, I went. And we prayed together. We went to church together. We decided to do this ministry together, and we have just been together, and God has had our back.
A lot of times folks they say they want to change, you know. And you guys have probably dealt with individuals like this. They say, well, maybe they're caught in a habit or an addiction. And they say, well, I really want to change. And they talk about change, but they never change. Mm-hmm. And so there's got to be something there. You know what I'm talking about, Reginald?
Yes. I can remember a time that when I was really struggling with my addiction, my wife, I thought she was voodooing me, but she was putting holy oil on me, putting it on my forehead, putting it on my mouth, putting it on my chest, putting it on my shoes and all that. And I would lay there with looking through my eyelids, trying to figure out, she went out to my car. I ran into the door and I looked and I jumped back in the bed. I'm saying, what is she doing? But knowing right now that it was just her faith that she believed in me so diligently.
What are some of the challenges that youth today living in Orange Mound, and of course, I'm sure the reflection is across the city, but specifically in the Orange Mound community, what are some of the challenges that youth face each day?
They face gangs, they face drugs, guns, and it just seems like they're trying to do everything that is ungodly. And it's time for us as Christians to come in and just grab them and let them know that there's only one way to the kingdom, and that is through God. But it's going to take us as adults and Christians to grab them, because the home life, most of them are doing what they want to do, all the ungodly things, and that's all they see.
Just how active is gangs in the Orange Mound area?
It's very active. But what we do, we just try to make sure that we get a key. We call our ministry Buck Wild for Jesus. We try to make sure they stay fully energetic. If you come to our center, you'll be saying they out of control, but we have to make sure that they stay fun and energetic. And one thing that I've been in Orange Mound all my life, and if a kid really have trouble with a gang member or anything, they can tell me, and I go to the gang member, the leader himself, and ask him, can I have that kids? And you might think the gang members might not really be godly people, but they do respect God and they do have a fear of God. And if I go to one of them, they would actually give me that child and would not let that child come around them for no reason.
When you talk about your mission, and I know there's several aspects of what you guys do, and part of it is teaching youth about God, education, respect, and self-control. I mean, that's really the catalyst of what you guys are all about. How do you do that? How do you implement all those areas?
When the children get out of school, they come to our center. We do homework. We have small groups. We have praise dancing. We have choir. We have different people that come in to teach Bible study. We teach Bible study. And what we do, we are just mom and dad, and it's like a house with a lot of kids. We discipline them just like we're their parents. So we do everything to raise that child to have a productive life.
Reginald, what do you see as some of the challenges to what the work that you're doing is?
I think the main challenge is just to get local missionaries in there, just people. People like to go out of the country and feel like they're missionaries, but I think if they just look around, they can find some places that they can do local missionary work. It's just not Orange Mound, it's all over the city. But we just have to be just faithful and believe that God is, putting us there to do the work of God, to do His work.
If you guys can create a model here and can see lives change here, it can just spill over and impact other parts of our community.
Yes, that's right. And we pray for all the communities, because today it's like our kids are doing so many ungodly things. And like you said, it's not in just Orange Mound. It's not in just Memphis. It is everywhere. So we have to get out there. We've got to, be the soldiers. We've got to get out there and take control.
I know we're seeing a lot of this on the news lately, especially when it comes to our police and youth and the disconnect between police and youth. What seems to be the issues there? There's a lot of youth that really, I believe, want a better way.
It is.
They're looking. They just need the opportunities.
I think that our ministry started out just being a safe haven, a place where kids just can come, just get away from everything. So what we need to do is just grown-ups and churches and all of us not to be so afraid of our kids, because all of them are not bad. I went to this corner the other day to show you, to give you an example. There was a young man that was in my ministry. He was up there. He had his pants sagged. I pulled up to the corner. He grown. He's 24, 25 years old. And I just said, you know better. Pull your pants up. Yes, sir, Reverend Tucker. You know, they just need to be taught. Because one thing about it, we can transform to our neighborhood, but we can also transform to a Christian life if we taught Christianity.
Are you seeing that work, Mary? You're seeing lives changed?
Yes, because I'm still in touch with like 9 of my first 12. And they're saying a lot. Most of them are like 21, 22. They're out of school. Some are in college. Some are working now, having their own families, and they still come back to the ministry, and they're raising their kids the way we raised them. And it makes me feel so good.
Do you guys have any natural children together?
We have 5 between the both of us, and the youngest is 23, and she actually grew up in the ministry. And she told me, Mom, you better do good today because I listen to this station.
I'm so glad. Well, you guys are doing a great job already.
Thank you.
When you talk about, Reginald, some examples, can you give us some examples where maybe a youth, you talked about these 9, maybe there's one of these specific 9 you want to share their story, where they came into the program, maybe their home life was pretty messed up, but you saw just by investing the time, by investing God's word, loving on these kids, they're in a better place today. Can you share maybe a story or two?
Yeah, we have one young lady. Her home life was sort of messed up. Her mom was out there in the streets. And now by going through our ministry, she's working. She's been working, I bet you about 2 years now. And she still come by. She's got 2 little boys. They're always clean. They're always fed. She's always, saying what Reverend Tucker did, so she's going by that. And, she's just loving those kids. And it's because it's because of us. And he's had a young man to come to him and tell him, thank you, Reverend Tucker. I didn't see it at the time, but because of you, now I'm working, and I'm not out there doing something dumb.
Reginald, Mary just mentioned that this youth said that they're not out there doing something dumb. And I know that was originally one of your concerns because of what you had gone through your addiction and drugs. You saw how you had been living. You didn't want more youth to do dumb things like you had done, and we all do as kids oftentimes, especially without Christ in our lives.
Well, I try to make sure that I keep them grounded with God. Because I know one thing about all individuals, we have what we call a self-destruct mechanism. And so what we try to do, I try to use my past activities and the things that I have done in my life to make sure they can see it before it happens, and make sure they come to me before they make a foolish decision. And we have really, I think that we don't had about 700 kids to come through our ministry since we started, and we only had like 3 arrests out of the whole 700. And I think that's a great statistic because the mom and dad, and we really pour into the kids, and we get up in the middle of the night. We do whatever we need to do to make sure that it takes what it takes.
That's a pretty good statistic there. Not many organizations can say that, and that speaks a lot of y'all's love for these kids. What motivates you guys to do what you do?
Well, what motivates me, God giving me this trophy just to be able to do his will. This is the biggest trophy, the biggest recognition you can get, that God can move you from your past to the future and to transform your heart and your spirit to the mannerism which he see fit. And all the things that I've been through, I think it was my spiritual DNA to equip me with the tools that I need to do his will. And his will is the most important thing. We pray every day that we stay normal people, that we that we don't just do it for self-glory or anything. We just do it for the glory of God and to make sure that our kids see what they need to see.
Also, your organization, of course, is a nonprofit that relies totally on donations. About 80% of your support comes from individuals, with about 20% coming from churches. Now, you had a subsidizing UYI grant fund, but that's no longer available to you guys. No. But you still have been seeing God provide and meet the needs. Is that right?
By faith. I think this is what I really think. I think if you have so much money, which we do need money, but if you have so much money, you start relying on you. He keeps it every day that we have faith and believe month by month that he's going to take care of us, and he do. So we always see the presence of God every month.
Mm-hmm. I saw the breakdown in your recent newsletter, and I like about that is that 80% are individuals. That's a really good thing. I mean, it's nice to have some churches there, you know, and they might be able to provide a little bit more on a monthly basis or however they do support you. But just seeing individuals maybe give, 10, 20, 15, 25, 50, 100, whatever they're able to do, on a monthly basis or when they can give. That just really shows, the community coming together and working. Yes. I like that investment that I'm seeing there. Now, I know you also rely very heavily on volunteers to do what you do. You couldn't do what you do without all your volunteers.
No.
And you have a lot of opportunities for volunteers too, don't you, Mary?
Yes, we do. We have opportunities for people to come in and tutor. We have homework help every day. So we have volunteers to come in to small groups, Bible study. We have a computer room that we have to have a volunteer to go in. We have exercise room that the kids can't go in without a volunteer to take them in. So there are a lot of volunteer opportunities for people to come out.
So, and really you guys are looking at the total makeup of these kids too, their education, their spiritual needs, and also their physical needs too with these I saw some of the pictures. You guys have a very nice workout facility.
Yes, we do. It's fully equipped, and it was donated. I forget, all the equipment was donated. So we all put it together. And
Memphis Country Club.
Yeah, Memphis Country Club donated that.
You also have a need for a receptionist, and each of these positions obviously have certain requirements. What really qualifies somebody to be a volunteer with your group? What's the number one qualification?
Loving children.
Love kids.
Love kids. You can't get away without that, can you, Reginald?
No.
Yes. And we have a volunteer receptionist. She's been there for about 7 to 8 years. Miss Teresa, she's there so faithfully. And she's there loving the kids also, the same as we do. Small
group leaders, mentors, discipleship, the Bible study groups that you talked about. And so if anybody's interested in any one of these volunteer opportunities, just contact the ministry?
Yes, they could go to my website. It is www.omomcares.org, and there's a part in there where you can sign up to be a volunteer.
Reginald, how do you see Orange Mound Outreach Ministries develop over the next 10 years? What would you like to see?
Well, I like to have a bigger impact on kids. So the only thing that we really don't have is a full functioning gym. We have a goal outside, but I like to have something inside that we can play basketball and have game rooms and different things that can pull more kids. We like right now at like 30, 40 kids a day. They probably knock us up to about 100 kids a day.
Yeah.
Just exposing them to inside court where the kids can just really just have fun.
Exactly. Now, how does the work differ from different times of the year? Right now, of course, we're in the summer months. I mean, I guess you guys are probably more engaged with youth right now because they're out of school.
Yeah, and we keep the same hours. We still are open 3 to 8 o'clock every day, and we just don't change the hours. We keep doing what the kids are used to.
Is there special programs you do during the summertime, Reginald?
We do everything exactly the same. Probably do a few more barbecues. We just had a big barbecue contest in Orange Mound. We call it Orange Mound in May. But we probably do more barbecues, probably some more slides, just keep it fun and energetic.
Now, you guys are also feeding these kids too, I believe, aren't you?
Yes, we are.
So do you have a kitchen for that, or how do you feed?
We have a kitchen for that. They have a snack and dinner every day. And right now the food is being brought in. And they eat every day. I know they're missing the meals at the schools because they're not there. So we have to make sure that they're eating.
Yeah.
And the food is the most important thing because we had a couple of kids last week crying because they was hungry.
Wow.
And we just immediately jumped up and started making sure they had something to eat.
Now, if there's a business that might like to entertain coming along and maybe, being a financial support for you guys that's listening, could they possibly come and meet you and take a tour and learn more about the work?
Sure, we invite them out anytime, Monday through Thursday, and sometimes Friday now, from 3 to 8 o'clock. They can just pop in anytime.
What about the Tucker family? When you guys are just kicking back and, I guess the ministry, I'm sure, is constantly on your mind because your hearts are so big for these kids. I know that's not going to change, but do you have some R&R time that you like to do sometimes? Man,
it's hard to find that time because we basically live at the ministry too. We have an apartment there and it's 24/24. So the kickback time is enjoying what we do and being needed. I can remember a time when nobody wanted me around. Now everybody want me around, so it's okay with me. We get tired, but just keep on praying and asking God for strength.
You also preach, don't you, Reginald? Don't you have like church services?
Every Wednesday night, it's a high beat church, a lot of energy. We just got a new choir. Had a young man to come in to do the music and got young kids singing to the best they can do. And we do something crazy at our church. We put a speaker outside so we make sure that anybody don't come inside, they can hear the word too.
Well, I didn't mention this. I actually, for a little window in my life, when my parents were going through a divorce, my grandfather lived in Orange Mound in a duplex. And my mom and I went and lived with my grandfather for several months. There at Office Sims, the duplex Office Sims across from the Cherokee Elementary School, which is pretty much on the border edge, but it's still within the Orange Mound community. Mm-hmm. So I have a little bit of memory, and of course I know the neighborhood, of course, has changed a lot again, as we talked about, because of the drugs, because of the gangs,
yes,
and because of the breakdown of the family.
Yes,
and that's why it's so important for the Tuckers to be where they are today. And God bless you. Thank you for what you're doing for Christ's kingdom there in the Orange Mound community.
We love it.
And I think what really happened, that Christianity hadn't been passed down in a couple of generations. And so what we're doing is reconnecting the kids with Christianity, and they really taking it home to their parents and teaching them.
I really, really appreciate the opportunity to meet you. And hopefully I can come if you'd let me come sometime.
Oh, sure.
I want to see for myself. Meet some of the youth, and just maybe we could get some of them on a radio program.
And I must warn you, everybody that comes down, they fall in love and they have to keep coming back.
Have to keep coming back.
Yes.
I like that. Well, those who would want to connect with you, those who want to volunteer, you mentioned the website, and also if somebody wanted to give in a financial way, would they connect with that same website?
Yeah, they can also go to the website. We have PayPal on there, or they can mail it to our center's address.
And what's that address?
That's 845 Marshall Neal Street, Memphis, Tennessee, 38114.
And that website again?
www.omomcares.org.
And how about a phone number if somebody wanted to call you?
901-644-1416.
Reginald, Mary, thank you so much for being so transparent, sharing your hearts with us. Thank you for loving on our youth in Orange Mound community and being willing to be our guest today.
Thank you.
You so much.
Friends, that's all the time we have on this edition of Mid-South Viewpoint. Again, if you would like more information, go to their website, and I hope that you will join us next time as we bring you more on Mid-South Viewpoint. I'm Byron Tyler. Hey, we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.